You wake up, and before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already under attack. A message changes your mood. A notification rewrites your focus. A comment from someone who doesn't even know you controls your emotional state. And just like that, your day is no longer yours. This is not weakness. This is exposure. You are walking through life with your emotional gates wide open. Every opinion enters. Every problem sticks. Every unexpected event takes control, and the world knows it. Algorithms feed you outrage because outrage keeps you scrolling. People project their chaos onto you because they know you'll absorb it. Deadlines are pushed because pressure makes you compliant. You think you're living your life, but you're reacting to everyone else's. And reaction is the lowest form of control. But here's what they don't want you to realize. The same system that controls you can be broken instantly, not slowly, not eventually. In a single moment of awareness, because 2,000 years ago, 3 men discovered something that still terrifies modern systems. Marcus Aurelius Seneca, Epictetus. They lived through chaos far worse than yours. War, betrayal, plague, death surrounding them constantly. And yet they became untouchable. Not physically, emotionally. They didn't control the world. They controlled their response to it. And that changed everything. Because when you control your response, you control your life. This is what you're about to learn. Not motivation, not surface-level advice. 9 Stoic habits that will rewire how you experience reality itself. You will still feel everything, but nothing will control you. Insults will land and dissolve. Chaos will appear and pass. Pressure will rise and you will remain still. That is power, and it begins with one habit, the one most people ignore, the one that decides everything. Habit 1, the discipline of the sacred pause. Your biggest weakness is not what happens to you, it's how fast you react. That tiny moment between trigger and response is where your entire life is decided, and most people lose it instantly. Someone disrespects them, they react. Something goes wrong, they panic. A message feels off, they spiral. There is no space, no control, no awareness, just reaction. And reaction is emotional slavery. Epictetus understood this thousands of years ago. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. The event is neutral. Your reaction creates the damage. So here is the shift. You don't eliminate emotion. You delay obedience to it. That delay is power. The Stoics trained this relentlessly. Your emotions are not the problem. Your interpretation is. After you master the pause, you start noticing something deeper. It's not what happens that shakes you. It's what you tell yourself about what happens. The event is small. The story is massive. A message gets ignored, and your mind says, "They don't respect me." A plan changes, and your mind says, "I'm not important." A failure happens, and your mind says, "I'm not good enough." The event didn't break you, the interpretation did. This is where most people lose control. Not in reality, in imagination. Seneca said it clearly, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that. You are not reacting to life, you are reacting to your version of life, and that version is often distorted. Habit 2. Separate fact from story. This habit changes everything. You stop asking what happened to me and you start asking what is actually true, because facts are clean, stories are emotional. Fact, they didn't reply. Story, they don't care about me. Fact, the deal failed. Story, I'm a failure. Fact, they criticized my work. Story, they're attacking me. See the difference? Facts are neutral. Stories are personal. And the moment you separate them, you regain control. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Your estimate. your interpretation, your story, which means you can change it. So here's the practice. Every time you feel triggered, pause and ask, what actually happened without my opinion? Strip it down. Remove emotion. Remove assumption. Just the raw event. And suddenly, the intensity drops. Because clarity removes distortion, and distortion is where suffering lives. Habit 3. Stop absorbing other people's chaos. Once you clean your internal world, you notice something else. Most of your emotions aren't even yours. They're borrowed from people, from conversations, from content. You spend 10 minutes with a negative person, your energy drops. You scroll through chaos, your mood shifts. You read comments, your mind reacts. This is emotional contagion, and most people are completely unprotected. Epictetus warned, avoid those whose company corrupts you. Not because people are bad, but because energy spreads. And if you don't protect your mind, it becomes a container for other people's instability. So here's the shift. You become selective, not cold, not distant, selective. You start noticing, how do I feel after this interaction? Drained, anxious, unfocused? That's data, and data demands action. You reduce exposure, you limit access, you protect your state. Because your emotional energy is not unlimited. And every time you absorb unnecessary chaos, you lose clarity, and clarity is your greatest advantage. So you build boundaries, quiet ones. You don't argue, you don't explain, you don't justify, you simply remove yourself, because protecting your mind is protecting your life. Habit 4. Expect less, adapt more. Here is another hidden trap. Expectations. You expect people to behave a certain way. You expect life to follow your plan. You expect fairness, and when reality doesn't match, you suffer. Not because life is hard, because your expectations were rigid. Seneca taught something powerful. We are more often frightened than hurt, because we imagine how things should be instead of accepting how they are. The Stoics practiced something radical. They expected difficulty, not pessimistically, realistically. They woke up knowing people will disappoint, plans will change, things will go wrong, and because of that, nothing shocked them, nothing broke them. So here's your shift. You stop demanding perfection from reality, and you start preparing for variation. Instead of thinking, this must go well, you think, whatever happens, I will handle it. That single shift removes frustration, because frustration is expectation colliding with reality. Remove the expectation, you remove the collision, and what's left? Calm, adaptability, control. You stop reacting to life. You start navigating it. There is a version of you that is not easily triggered, not easily influenced, not easily shaken. That version is not emotionless, it is disciplined, and it is built, one controlled response at a time. But even with all of this, there is still one final level, the level most people never reach. Because it requires something uncomfortable, facing yourself. That's where the final transformation begins. There is a truth most people avoid their entire lives, not because it's complicated, because it's uncomfortable. You are not just choosing the wrong people, you are abandoning yourself to keep them. Read that slowly. Not once, not accidentally, repeatedly. You felt something was off and stayed. You noticed inconsistency and explained it. You sensed distance and chased clarity. And every time you did that, you broke a promise, not to them, to yourself. That is where everything starts to fall apart. Because self-trust is not lost all at once. It erodes quietly. Every time you ignore your intuition, you weaken your voice. Every time you tolerate what doesn't feel right, you confuse your standards. Every time you stay when you should leave, you teach yourself something dangerous. My feelings are not valid, and once that belief is installed, you stop trusting your own judgment. That's when the cycle begins. You start second-guessing yourself. You start asking, am I overthinking? Am I expecting too much? Maybe I'm the problem. No, you were feeling something real. You just didn't honor it. And when you don't honor your inner voice, you lose alignment. That is the real damage, not the relationship, the disconnection from yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it." Simple, clear, uncompromising. But most people don't live this way. They feel something is wrong and stay. They see the pattern and ignore it. They know the truth and delay action, because leaving feels harder than tolerating. And that is where self-abandonment becomes a habit. Habit 5. You rebuild self-trust. Everything changes the moment you decide this. I will no longer ignore what I feel. Not emotionally, not impulsively, honestly. Because your intuition is not random. It is pattern recognition. It notices inconsistency before your mind explains it. It feels misalignment before your logic justifies it. And when you start trusting it, you move differently. You don't rush, you observe. You don't assume, you assess. You don't chase, you watch. Because clarity becomes your priority. And clarity requires patience, not passive patience, intentional awareness. You allow people to reveal themselves without interference, without projection, without rewriting their behavior into something it isn't. Because truth does not need interpretation. It shows itself through patterns, and patterns never lie. Once you trust yourself, you stop negotiating with discomfort. If something feels off, you address it. If it continues, you step back. If it repeats, you walk away, not dramatically, not emotionally. Decisively, because self-trust creates boundaries, and boundaries create protection. But this is where most people struggle, because walking away feels like loss, and that fear keeps them stuck. Habit 6. You stop confusing attachment with value. Here is the truth most people don't want to hear. You are not afraid of losing them. You are afraid of losing the feeling they gave you, the attention, the validation, the emotional highs. Even if it was inconsistent, even if it was unstable, it still felt like something, and something feels better than nothing. That's where attachment forms, not from connection, from dependency. Because when your internal state is unstable, you look outward to regulate it. You wait for messages to feel calm. You wait for attention to feel valued. You wait for reassurance to feel secure. And that is not love. That is reliance. And reliance makes you vulnerable to inconsistency, because the moment they pull back, you collapse, your mood drops, your focus breaks, your clarity disappears, not because they changed, because you depended. This is why detachment is misunderstood. It's not about not caring, it's about not depending. When you detach, you still feel, but you don't rely. Your stability does not come from them, it comes from you. And that changes everything, because now you are not staying out of need, you are choosing, and choice creates power. You choose clarity over confusion, you choose peace over intensity, you choose peace over chaos, because you finally understand anything that costs your self-respect is too expensive. That realization alone will eliminate most of the wrong people from your life. Not because you rejected them, because you stopped needing them. Habit 7. You stop chasing and start selecting. This is where the real transformation happens. You stop chasing connection. You start selecting it. Before, you are asking, do they like me? Will this work? How can I make this better? Now you ask different questions. Are they consistent? Are they clear? Do they match my standards? That habit is everything, because your attention moves from approval to evaluation. You stop trying to be chosen and start choosing correctly. You stop proving your value and start protecting it. You stop over-giving and start observing. Because you finally understand something most people don't. Access is earned. Not through words, through behavior, consistency, clarity, respect. And if those things are not present, you don't chase, you withdraw. Quietly, because your energy is not meant to convince. It is meant to be invested. And once you understand that, you become rare, not because you changed who you are, because you changed who you are, because you changed what you tolerate, and tolerance defines your life. There is a version of you that no longer gets pulled into confusion, that no longer over-explains, that no longer chases clarity from inconsistent people. That version is calm, clear, unshakable, and it begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself. But there is one final step, because awareness is not enough. Understanding is not enough. You can see all of this clearly and still fall back if you don't lock it into identity. That is where the final transformation begins. You've seen the patterns, you've understood the truth, you've faked the shift, and right now you feel clear, stronger, more aware, more in control. But this is the moment that decides everything, because understanding something is not the same as becoming it. And this is where most people fail, not at the beginning, not in the middle, at the return. Because after this moment, life continues, messages will come, triggers will appear, old patterns will try to pull you back, and slowly, if you're not careful, you will return to who you were. Not because you're weak, because you didn't lock the change. That is the final lesson. Transformation is not what you feel, it is what you repeat. Habit 8, lock the identity. If you rely on emotion, you will lose, because emotion is temporary. You feel strong now, but tomorrow you might not. And if your behavior depends on how you feel, your life will always be unstable. That's why identity matters, because identity does not ask how you feel, it defines how you act. When you say, "I'm trying to change," you leave the door open. But when you say, "This is who I am now," you close it. That shift is everything, because now you are not negotiating, you are executing. You don't ask, "Should I tolerate this?" You already know. You don't ask, "Should I chase?" You don't. You don't ask, "Should I ignore my intuition?" You can't, because it's no longer a decision, it's identity. And identity removes confusion. So define it clearly. I am someone who respects myself. I am someone who does not chase inconsistency. I am someone who walks away from what feels wrong. Then prove it, not once, daily. Because identity is not declared, it is reinforced through action. Habit 9, build non-negotiable standards. Here is the truth most people avoid. If everything is flexible, nothing changes. If your standards depend on your mood, they are not standards, they are preferences. And preferences break under pressure. Standards don't. So you need rules, not extreme, not unrealistic, clear, simple, non-negotiable. For example, I do not over-explain my worth. I do not stay where I feel disrespected. I do not ignore what I feel. These are not suggestions, they are laws, and laws create structure. Because when a situation appears, you don't think, you follow the standard. That removes hesitation. Because hesitation is where self-betrayal begins. Most people pause and then negotiate. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I should give it another chance. Maybe I'm overreacting. And just like that, they go back. You don't, because your standards are clear. And clarity creates power. Habit 10, repeat until it becomes you. This is the final step, and it's the one most people skip. Repetition. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's easy. Every day. Because nothing becomes permanent until it becomes automatic. You don't become self-respecting once. You become self-respecting repeatedly. You don't stop chasing once. You stop chasing consistently. You don't trust yourself in a moment. You build trust through patterns, again and again and again, until something changes. You don't feel the same pull toward chaos. You don't tolerate the same behavior. You don't react the same way. Not because you tried harder, because you became different. That is the goal, not temporary change, permanent identity. And identity is built quietly. No announcements, no validation, no performance, just discipline, consistent, silent, unshakable, final truth. You were always the standard. At the end of all this, there is one truth left. You were never hard to love. You were just easy to access. You were not too much. You were giving too much to people who were giving too little. And once you see that, everything shifts. You stop shrinking. You stop adjusting. You stop over-giving. You become selective, not because you're afraid, because you're aware. And awareness is power. Because now you don't just feel your value, you protect it through your standards, through your silence, through your decisions. You no longer chase connection, you choose it. You no longer hope for clarity, you require it. You no longer tolerate confusion, you remove yourself from it. And that is where your life changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, powerfully, permanently. So from this moment forward, remember this: you don't need to be chosen, you need to choose correctly. And that begins with choosing yourself every time, every situation, every decision, because the moment you stop abandoning yourself, you become unstoppable. If this changed something in you, don't let it fade. Take one action today that proves your self-respect, and commit to it. Quietly, because real power does not need to be seen. It is felt. If you're ready to stop repeating the same patterns and start living with clarity, subscribe, because this is not motivation, this is transformation. Become the master of your mind, rebuild your authority, refocus your power, rise above.